with sunny skies and temperatures in the 40s.
Really nice out there today. WENY Chief Meteorologist Joe Veras is here to let us know if we can expect another sunny day tomorrow. Joe?
Well, it looks like partial sunshine for our Wednesday. Still on the breezy side. Today, the winds out of the south and southwest, and that's what helped boost the temperatures into the 40s. But frontal boundary just to our north right now. This will settle south overnight tonight. Very little moisture with this front, but we will see some increased cloud cover this evening. The front settles down through, and our winds will shift out of the west and northwest tomorrow, and that's going to lock in some colder temperatures for our region. Mainly dry, though, for Wednesday. A slight chance for a flurry or a snow shower, but most of the time will be dry, and temperatures will top out in the mid and upper 30s for highs, so several degrees cooler than where we were this afternoon. It's currently 38 in Watkins Glen, 37 in Ithaca, Ridgebury checking in at 35, and Wellsboro currently at 38. Elmira, 34 degrees under partly cloudy conditions. Winds diminishing a bit out of the west now at about 3 miles an hour. Now our planner for tomorrow showing a mixture of sun and clouds, so at least we get partial sunshine, and we'll give you a 5-degree guarantee of 38. A little bit warmer than that on Thursday, but significantly warmer as we approach the weekend. A look at my extended forecast with those warmer temperatures, and I'll let you know when our next chance for rain or snow will be coming up in a few minutes.
Joe, thank you. Well, it's the season of giving, and local organizations are wrapping up their fundraising campaigns, getting donations, and getting ready to deliver toys to children in need.
And WENY's Lindsay Madison is here in studio to tell us about two local organizations and a team of realtors who took it upon themselves to help the community this holiday season. Lindsay?
Nick and Renata, the Arctic League and the local chapter for Toys for Tots are wrapping up on accepting donations. Both organizations are getting ready to deliver the toys to ensure no child goes without gifts on Christmas. The local chapter of Toys for Tots in the Southern Tier collects toys for children in Chemung, Schuyler, Steuben, and Tompkins counties. The toy drive started on October 1st and officially ends today. However, the organization accepts donations year-round.
They can come right here to the Arnott Mall, our location. It's in the old Ageless Spa right by JCPenney. Or they can go to his Tabernacle on Old Ithaca Road. They're another drop-off site we use, and people are there. So if they bring toys in there, we'll get them over here and get them sorted.
Toys for Tots had collection boxes at different locations across the Southern Tier. The goal is to have all the toys sorted and delivered by the 18th.
That's for two reasons, so the parents can have time to wrap and hide them and get them under the tree, and so my volunteers can have a time to spend Christmas with their families, because this time of the year is important for doing all that.
People or families in need are able to apply if they have a child or children who are 14 and younger. The coordinator for the local chapter of the Toys for Tots says they're going to help about 3,000 children, which is about the same number of kids the Arctic League helps out with. The Arctic League's goal is to make sure no child in Chemung County goes without gifts on Christmas. The League's president says this year's fundraising campaign will end on Friday, but there's still time to donate.
They could donate online at our website, arcticleague.com, or they can mail a check in. If we get any donations after the big book closes, we'll just apply those to next year's fundraising.
Along with two well-known organizations, a group of realtors and a paralegal worked together yesterday to buy and donate toys to children. Matt Davis, a mortgage loan officer with Movement Mortgage, said the group bought hundreds of toys and donated them to Toys for Tots. Davis said in a statement they did it to make a difference in the community for families who could use a helping hand. Now, the Arctic League is still looking for volunteers on Christmas Eve morning to help deliver gifts across Chemung County. People can line up at the Arctic League on West Clinton Street in Elmira around 9 a.m. to help start delivering toys to kids in need.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Some New York State elected leaders say they're worried about some industrial development agencies or IDA's operations.
WENY's New York Capitol correspondent Elise Klein continues our investigative series focusing on the reasons for concern and proposed reforms. She joins us live tonight from Albany. Elise.
Nick, Renata, good evening. Recent audit reports from the New York State Authority's budget office show that some IDAs have mismanaged nearly $2 million just within this past year. And some New York State lawmakers tell me they worry some of these agencies have no respect for managing public money and taxpayer interests. In Albany, several bills in the legislature seek to change how industrial development agencies, or IDAs, operate and spend public money. Some lawmakers are calling for more oversight of IDA operations and their deals with private businesses.
They've set themselves up to have very little accountability to the taxpayers or to the government that helps fund them.
There are tools at our disposal as legislators to better hold IDAs accountable. Right now, there is very little accountability, and so they do operate in many cases like the Wild West.
According to a recent Senate committee investigation report, some IDAs granted unnecessary tax breaks to businesses for projects that some lawmakers say would have happened without financial incentives. Tax breaks granted by IDAs result in less money to local school districts.
That's a real problem. Education funding should be separate and taken out of economic development subsidies.
Senator Ryan says his legislation introduced in Albany will prevent IDAs from waiving taxes that would otherwise be received by a school district. Other lawmakers are also concerned about IDA operations. Proposed legislation would require a school board representative on IDA boards making decisions about economic development projects and tax breaks.
If it's a residential project, which is going to increase the number of students in a school district, or is going to affect the tax base of the school district, which taxes separately, they ought to have a seat at the table and be engaged with the IDA.
Senator Skoufis says one way to combat this issue is to regionalize or limit the number of IDAs operating around the state. Skoufis currently sponsors legislation to do this. Skoufis underscores there are some IDAs that do what they're supposed to do and help communities grow their economies. But there are simply not enough of them doing the right thing, he says.
And we have a lot of work to do as a state legislature to clean up these acts.
As the next legislative session approaches, starting here in Albany in just a few weeks, we will be following this issue and tell you where some of these bills end up. Reporting live, Elise Klein, WENY News. Nick, Renata, back to you.
WENY News continues to look into a decision by the Schuyler County IDA regarding a lease at the Seneca Harbor Marina Restaurant in Watkins Glen. As we reported, the space was previously leased by Horseheads Brewing Seneca Lake, who has the same owners as WENY TV. The property is managed by the IDA. In October, an IDA committee reviewed 5 proposals for a new lease at the property. They narrowed down the proposals to the top 2, Horseheads Brewing and Lucky Hair Brewing. The proposals were scored on a rubric which were not made public. WENY News submitted a FOIL request and the rubrics were made available just today. And on the first round of scoring, according to the rubrics, Horseheads Brewing scored higher on the rubric with 46.5 points versus Lucky Hair's 45.75 points. However, the IDA committee held a second round of votes, and after receiving supplemental information from both breweries about their plans on the second rubrics, Horseheads Brewing received a score of 47. Lucky Hair received 49 points. The IDA is expected to vote on the new lease agreement at its 5 o'clock evening meeting tomorrow night.
New York's highest court has ordered the state to draw new congressional district maps ahead of the 2024 elections. Political analysts say the 4-3 decision from the New York Court of Appeals could have huge implications nationally by helping Democrats retake the House of Representatives. Democrats sued to have last year's congressional maps in the state thrown out, arguing the state's 2022 redistricting efforts were poorly done. Democrats sued after losing a number of seats in the New York City suburbs, which played a huge part in helping Republicans gain control of the House. The state's bipartisan independent redistricting commission will now be tasked with coming up with new districts. The court ordered the commission to file a map no later than February 28th of next year. New York's democratically controlled legislature will have final approval on any new maps. Well, coming up, budget issues continue to be a problem in Harrisburg. We'll break down what's next in the Keystone State's budget saga.
And $2 million worth of funding and grants is being awarded to over 150 eligible museums in Pennsylvania. We're going to tell you where the money will help locally.
And a cold front will pass through the region tonight. Lake effect snow will fire up towards Syracuse. I'll let you know if any of that snow will drift into our region coming up right after the break. First, a live look at our Crystal City Skycam overlooking Market Street in downtown Corning. You're watching WENY News at 6.
From WENY News, this is First Warning Weather.
Well, welcome back. Let's start off with the Cornell Skycam. And we have pretty good visibility off the Skycam right now. And we are expecting decent weather through the overnight period, even though we're tracking a cold front headed our way. The winds will tend to pick back up again late tonight and during the day tomorrow out of the west and eventually northwest. And that will usher in some cooler temperatures our way. But in terms of precipitation, really not expecting much with this front. Now, today it was a bit above average, hit 44 for our unofficial high. Normal high for us is 40 degrees, and we started the day off at 26. So here we go with our temperatures right now, dropping back into the 30s, again, down from the 40s earlier today. 38 in Canisteo, it's 37 in Bath, 34 right now in Elmira, and Ridgebury currently at 35 degrees. I mentioned that frontal boundary just to our north. There's not much precipitation associated with it. It'll spread some more clouds our way, though, as this drifts off towards the south. And what's going to happen as the front settles through, with the wind shifting out of the west or northwest with the colder temperatures, that'll fire up the lake effect snow machine, targeting areas up towards, say, Watertown, then eventually down through Syracuse and possibly over the southeastern Finger Lakes region. So here we go with that front tonight. Again, the clouds passing through, very little moisture with the front, so nothing more than a stray flurry. And then for tomorrow morning, the lake effect will be targeting, say, the Watertown area. And with the wind shifting just a little bit out of the northwest, that lake effect snow band will settle down towards Syracuse as we progress through the afternoon and eventually by early tomorrow evening down towards sections of Tompkins County. So it may clip the northeastern portions of our viewing area, but not much farther south from there. The snow showers will tend to taper heading into Thursday morning. So as far as snowfall accumulations go, well, We'll see a couple inches to the north and east of Ithaca. There could be some localized higher amounts within the lake effect snow bands, but for our immediate region, we're not expecting any accumulation behind the front. Temperatures tomorrow, though, will be a bit cooler. We'll give you a 5-degree guarantee of 38. Temperatures, though, responding very nicely as we approach the upcoming weekend with 53 on Friday. Most of the weekend is looking dry, but a fairly strong area of low pressure will be pushing up along the southeast coast here heading into early next week, and that looks to bring some rain showers our way as opposed to snow. Today we forecast a high of 44, and that was the unofficial high at the Elmira Corning Regional Airport. Tonight we'll drop down in the 20s for lows, 25 our forecast low, winds out of the west 10 to 15 miles an hour. 38 tomorrow with partial sunshine, plenty of sunshine Thursday and Friday. Much warmer by Friday. We're dry through the weekend and rain likely into Monday.
Thank you, Joe. Well, as the year is finishing up, the Pennsylvania state legislature is fighting to get budget code bills passed before the end of the year.
And it's an old tune, but tonight it's delivered with a fresh face. Our newest addition to the team has a brief look at what was underfoot in the capital of Pennsylvania today.
Hello everyone, I'm Kara Jeffers, the new WENY Pennsylvania State Capitol reporter in Harrisburg. Down here in PA, the legislature is in their final session week of 2023, and they still have budget code bills that have not reached the governor's desk. These include funding for 911, community colleges, library, and even updates to the corporate tax code. Most of these bills are currently in the Senate, and while it has slowed progress, things aren't completely stalled. For instance, in the House, there was discussion on a Pennsylvania Paid Family Leave Act. The GOP also this week has introduced legislation to update laws on anti-Semitism. There is a chance the legislature stays until Friday to try to get those budget bills passed. I will have more updates on this and continued coverage you can count on from Harrisburg. I'm Kara Jeffers. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Kara, thank you. Well, in New York State, flags were ordered at half-mast today on state buildings. We'll explain why.
But first, here's a look at your local stocks.
from across the Twin Tiers. This is WENY News at 6 with Renata Steele, Nick Quattrini, and Chief Meteorologist Joe Barres.
The Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission announced the recipients of their Cultural and Historical Support Grant last week, with $1.9 million being given out to 158 organizations across the Keystone State. Now, the grant goes to organizations that do not receive any other state funding. Now, in our area, the historical societies in Tioga, Bradford, and Susquehanna counties, they each received $4,000. Executive Director Matt Carl for the Bradford County Historical Society shared that the funds support operational expenses like utilities and insurance. Representative Tina Pickett spoke on how important preserving the state's history is.
Our history is not only fascinating and something that is an enjoyable thing to know about, but it also has a meaning to why we are the things that we are in our areas and in our country and in our state. It is important to know everything that went on in our past so that we can properly manage our present and our future.